I will present myself. I am, if Robert Kissus like to see it, we can start. I will tell you first, I am Pierre Galland, and I am the General Coordinator of the Russell Tribunal on Palestine, and very happy to see you here. Thank you for coming. And this second session of the Russell Tribunal on Palestine that we held in this nice place in London, it's a continuity after the Russell Tribunal on Palestine in Barcelona. And thanks to our friend from Barcelona, we received yesterday all the document of what was discussed and the conclusion of the session in Barcelona. It's a very important document that we received, and hope that we can distribute it further to everybody here. But today we cannot, because we have only 20 examples of this report. I am speaking here in the name of the International Organizing Committee, and the Organizing Committee was founded by a good friend of all of us, Ken Coates. And Ken Coates died during the month of July, and it's pity for us, and maybe can I ask you for 1 minute of memory for our friend Ken Coates, please stay up. Thank you. Ken Coates was the president of the Russell Foundation. Today, from the Organizing International Committee, we have the pleasure to have here with us Stéphane Hessel. He will come in a few minutes with the jury. Professor Paulette Pearson-Maty. Thank you, Paulette, to be here. Professor Brahim Senoussi. Hello, Brahim. Robert Kissus. Hello, Robert. Thank you to be here. René Branger. René, where are you? Oh, René, you must be here. Come in front. And myself. But three of us are not here because they cannot reach London. Bernard Ravenel from France. François Maspero, well-known figure, you know, François Maspero from France, Paris. And Professor Marcel Franciscan, they were not in possibility to reach London, but they are still active members of the International Organizing Committee. We have also with us the National Committee. National Committee, I must thank all this committee for all the work that they have done to prepare the session, to give us the opportunity to find all the means to succeed, to prepare this session. And we have a National Committee today in London, thank you to be here, in Catalonia, in France, in Belgium, Luxembourg, Italy, hello Louisa, Portugal, Switzerland, Ireland, Germany, and Netherlands. All of them are here in this room. Thank you for all of them. You have here also the name of all the members of the jury. And I believe that the jury will be soon with us in this room, and I will present this jury to you at the moment that they are coming. What I will also say is that let me, in your name and of all of us, to thank Frank Barras and all the British staff having made possible this session. It's a very, very important thing. And so, it gives me the opportunity to tell you that is the first time, but the last opportunity that you have to applaud. Because in a tribunal, never you can applaud. So that I will ask you, even if you are in full agreement with the people staying here, giving testimony about what happened in Palestine with some of the company that we will make the examination, don't applaud, okay? That's the rule. And also, I will ask you if you have this kind of machinery to put this machinery on silence, okay? Thank you very much to do it now so that we will not be disturbed by beep and all the other sonory possible. I try to do it with the mind, but it's not so easy sometimes. Yeah. Effectively, it's not so easy, you see. Maybe it's because he is reluctant to that, I don't know. But it will happen. And what I will ask you also, it's when the jury is coming in the room, what will happen now is to stay up and to make silence, so long that they are not staying here, okay? For the jury, thank you. Could you stay up? So. Please sit down, take your seat. Stéphane Hessel, ambassadeur de France et président d'honneur du Tribunal Russell sur la Palestine. Welcome. Now, Mariette Corian Maguire, prix Nobel de la paix 1976, North Ireland. Welcome. Ronald Kasril, author, activist, former minister from South Africa. Michael Mansfield, hello Michael, avocat, chair of the Aldan Society of Socialist Lawyers, Great Britain. We are waiting on José Antonio Martín Palín. He is former magistrate from the Supreme Court of Spain. He will be with us a little bit later. It's a question of, I believe his flight is a little bit later. Cynthia McKinney. Hello, Cynthia. Former member of the American Congress, candidate to the presidency in 2008 from the Green Party from the United States of America. John Dugard, hello John, professor in international law former special rapporteur of the UN on Palestine. He is coming from South Africa. Lord Anthony Gifford, lawyer, père héréditaire de Grande-Bretagne et avocat. I must excuse Maître Gisèle Halimi. She cannot be with us, but she is a former ambassador to the UNESCO in France, and she will not be with us today. She will be there for the next session. Other members of the Tribunal and the jury cannot be with us. Aminata Traoré. Aminata was on the way to come, but she must cancel because she has a very big problem with her back. So she stopped, and she will, I hope, she will be better in few days. Alice Walker, she is ill, and sorry she cannot be with us. And Alberto Sanguan is also cannot be with us for this session, but we have a jury, and some of the people are coming for one session, others are coming for another session, but globally, the majority of the members of the jury that we have today were before in Barcelona with us, and I thank all the jury to be here today. We have, at the end of the table, three experts in law. Professor Eric David, Maître Daniel Macover, and Maître Shubha Srinivan. Thank you to be with us, and they are there to help the jury to implement the conclusion. At the end, I will again say thank you very much to Frank, to Virginie, and all the staff having made all the work to prepare and to allow us to have this nice place to hold this international session of the Russell Tribunal on Palestine. And now I give the floor and the responsibility of the session to Ambassador Stéphane Hessel. You're welcome.
Thank you. It is a great privilege and a great honor for me here in this beautiful room of the law school and in this important democratic country of Great Britain to be the one to open the second session of a tribunal which is, as you all know, a civil tribunal with call to mobilize citizens from all over the world. In the particular case today of looking at international cooperation, complicity in Israel's violations of international human rights law, international humanitarian law, and war crimes. It is, as you all know, the second session of our tribunal. It is the one that follows the Barcelona session in last March, the conclusions of which have been largely circulated to the European Union and its member states. This time we call on international cooperations, and we will try to elicit, thanks to the experts and witnesses that are called before this tribunal, what violations should be condemned by citizens of all over the world, even when governments sometimes are remiss on making the necessary action to have these violations put an end to. I thank you for your presence in this beautiful room, and I will now turn the floor to my esteemed neighbor, Michael Mansfield. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome. I am a jury member here, as you can see. I was also a jury member in the first session in Barcelona. And I welcome the opportunity just to spell out, really, the objectives of this tribunal. They're not entirely the same as the objectives that, in a way, initiated the whole process back in the 1970s, because they've expanded. And the one thing I think we're anxious for is that this should not be an academic exercise. There is academia involved, but there are important principles involved. But at the end of the day, I think as a citizens' tribunal, and you are citizens, you want to know, you want to be able to leave the tribunal at the end of the day knowing what is possible and what is not possible in terms of taking action. Now, in the earlier days of the Russell Tribunal, not the Barcelona session, but the ones on Vietnam and so on, what they were doing was extremely important, because at that time, international tribunals really hadn't come into their own. And they were, that's the initial ones, establishing the illegality, declaring the illegality. In that case, America's actions in Vietnam. This time, as far as Israel is concerned, in a sense, we begin with a premise. The premise is that most people recognize that there are, except, of course, Israel doesn't, illegalities, violations of international human rights and international humanitarian law that have been perpetrated over a very long period since 1967. So we know about those right through to Operation Cast Lead. The areas, therefore, that need to be identified in order to move on are, in fact, readily available. It's the occupation itself is illegal. And that isn't always understood, particularly in the commercial field. The occupation is illegal. The settlements that have been built are illegal. The wall that has been built is illegal. It isn't just me saying it. There are international bodies who have proclaimed that, including what I call the International Court of Justice, or the World Court, in 2004. So the precedents are extremely clear for that. So the real question is, how is this being allowed to continue from a legal point of view? Who is doing anything about it? Well, you will have guessed the answer to that. Very few people, which is why we are turning to the people in order to elicit what is possible. Now, the first session in Barcelona dealt with the complicity of the European Union and of the European states with regard to obligations they had under international law to prevent the illegalities, which has just been referred to by Stéphane and Pierre. In other words, representations were made to the European authorities at the end of our session in Barcelona. This time, we're looking at something which goes often unnoticed. When you go shopping, unnoticed, is corporate responsibility, corporate complicity, commercial involvement. And if you think about it, the settlements, the occupation itself, the wall, aggressive actions as there were in Gaza, all involve materials and resources and services. They aren't necessarily just being provided by governments, they're actually being provided by commercial enterprises. Now, what you will want to know is, who are these commercial enterprises? Where are they based? Under what name do they go? So that you can yourself, if you want to do something about it, identify them, ask them questions, and possibly pursue them with legal redress. Now, that exercise, of course, requires not only a little knowledge of the law, perhaps even more, by the time you've listened to the experts that have come, and the identification which we hope we will be able to provide at the end of how you may provide that redress. And I just pinpoint one thing this week. I don't know whether any of you were listening to Radio 4 2 days ago. They had a report from a village near Nablus. And the report was about a harvest of olives that's being gathered at this very moment. or rather not gathered. Because again, Palestinians in this particular area, although it's their land, are only allowed to return in very limited numbers at very limited windows of opportunity. And when they get to the olive groves, what do they find? They've been damaged, but in this particular instance, the report indicated that it was a settlement that had been designed in such a way that the effluent was dispersed across the land of the olive groves and the trees had died. Now, the question you trace back is, who's building the settlements? Who's designing the drainage? Which companies are involved? It's an audit trail. And in a sense, that's what we're intending to do, an audit trail of who is commercially responsible for violations which are undoubted and have gone too long without any form of sanction. And if those of you wish to see the result of what happened in Barcelona, there is a report, and the end of the report indicates in that instance what sort of conclusions we came to about what you can do about practical situations. And I end with one other practical situation so you can begin to get your head around the issues that we want to confront. Those of you may remember a young American woman called Rachel Corrie, who very courageously decided that she wished to protect a family whose house was going to be demolished. And what happened was she was demolished by a bulldozer driven by IDF personnel, but made by an American company called Caterpillar. So this time the question is, can Caterpillar be made responsible? Well, there are answers to come on that front from experts from the United States of America. So that's really what we're trying to address today, and I hope that gives you an insight into our objectives. And welcome again.